Do clans have tanks? That's the question we're going to explore from both the narrative, but also the tactica. And then I'm going to open it up to my fellow clanners. Do you play tanks? What role does it have? So if we're approaching it from the narrative, absolutely the clans have tanks. They have some pretty powerful and heavy battle tanks, primarily geared towards going up mechs against mechs. But in that narrative, yes, they have access to everything: air support, tanks, transport, logistics. I mean, they operate as a complete warlike society. So they're going to have these units in the narrative and in the tech books. But do they translate to the table? The primary focus of the clans, of course, battle mechs. That's what the whole honor system is built around. And secondary to that, understanding how in the narrative vehicles interact with mechs, and certainly the need for anti-mech vehicles and a secondary battle force that could work with mechs. In the inner sphere, we see that as combined arms, vehicles and tanks. The clans kind of took that and pioneered battle armor, and battle armor as a respectable way to fight and work in as part of a star, as part of a battle group. Tanks, my understanding for the clans, they're kind of on garrison duty. They're kind of on the outskirts. They're for lesser clan members. The tech is certainly there. Fusion engine, armor, energy-based weapons, and they've got some powerful tanks. But the focus always was mechs first, and then battle armor, and of course the different types of battle armor. If we look at the inner sphere, because the clans have the ability to build their own mechs, they have the resources of various worlds under their control, and they have the logistics to leverage them. The inner sphere is kind of in a very different place. Mechs are scrapped, mechs are cobbled together. Some factories work some of the time or not all the time. Some factories, if they break, we don't even know how to repair them. We just know that they pump out 4 mechs a year. So within that, just on the logistics of total constant warfare and warfare of attrition, you see in the narrative for the inner sphere this idea that, yeah, battle mechs are king. Even in their kind of somewhat fallen state, they're king. They're powerful. Would we love all battle mechs? Yes. But the reality is we need to supplement this with combined arms. We need to supplement this with tanks, with infantry, with kind of more conventional type weapons. And that doesn't necessarily have to be like a backwater garrison to fight off pirates. You will see that where if you have a certain area that needs to be controlled and the threat isn't so much from the houses, but maybe mercenaries or pirates or unrest, I wouldn't commit battle mechs there. I'll commit tanks and infantry and air support and artillery. But we even see in the narrative where tanks and infantry and these other more conventional weapons systems fight with mechs, complement mechs, work with mechs. I mean, just look at the artwork and see how that works out. So we tend to see more of a focus on tanks and on vehicles and on direct support, where the clan shift all that to mechs. So in terms of playing it, I have 1 or 2 clan tanks. I got to go look on the names and we'll circle back around. They were cool miniatures. They're very large. They're very heavy battle tanks. For someone that is a treadhead and loves playing tanks, I rarely play them. For the simple reason, a battle value game for clans versus inner sphere, well, I'm already under the gun. Like, if you're like, let's play 8K clans, right? 8K, and I'm playing clans, and you've got inner sphere. 8K, you're bringing a lot of tech to the table. 8K clans, that's like 1 star, and there's a couple of things I didn't get because I just don't have the battle value. Clan mechs are extremely expensive, and I find that clan mechs, not only with the configurations, you don't have to play battle armor with clan mechs, but I'm playing clans. Their signature is battle armor. Battle armor is effective against multiple targets and delivery systems. I want to include battle armor with my star or with my clan battle group that I'm going to play. if I'm playing over a star or kind of a mix and match type thing. So most of my battle value, all of my battle value goes towards that. I really don't have battle value to do a combined arms list with tanks. So the big tanks that I have, we used them in a mission, kind of a defensive raid mission. If I'm playing clans versus clans, well, Trial of Possession, something like that working together, it's going to be the honor system. It's going to be the height of what the clans can bring, battling out for resources and warriors. That's going to be effectively all mechs that we're going to fight with. And I might have some battle armor in that, but the focus is going to be mechs. So in my opinion, playing the clans, and at least in the groups that I've played over, rarely do we see vehicles. Very, very rarely. But they do exist. They are out there. Inner Sphere, completely different framework. So turning it over to my fellow clanners, what are some of the tanks that we should look at? Because look, any excuse that we can use, any justification that we can use to acquire more miniatures, to expand our collection, that should be embraced in this game in Battletech. So if we can add some clan tanks for that, that would be very, very interesting. I do remember the first time that I fought Inner Sphere, that I fought clan tanks. You know, that famous story during the initial invasion when the clans landed and Inner Sphere combat computers were like, is it a Marauder or a Catapult? And it was switching back and forth, and that's how it got the name Mad Cat. Just these Desgra mech warriors daring to call such a beautiful machine that. But imagine in the narrative the first time those Inner Sphere mech warriors encountered that. The first time I encountered clan vehicles, my friend brought two heavy tracked clan tanks. And the game set up ahead of time was, I think it was like 10K battle value, Inner Sphere versus clans. We were playing a big, big game. Or I should say Inner Sphere, big game for clans, a manageable game. And it was bring whatever you want. So he shows up with these two tanks and they're on the table. And I'm like, wait, what the heck is that? He's like, oh, clan tanks. Do you want to see the sheets? And I was like, no, actually, I've never seen these before. I've never fought against them. I don't want to see the tech manual or the tech sheets. Like, I want to fight them and see what they can do. I mean, I put myself in that narrative. Imagine I'm there and I'm like, it's crazy enough we're dealing with the clans. We got battle armor everywhere. And now I got these like two massive tanks that real size scale are bigger than most mechs. I don't know. They are WYSIWYG. So I'm like, let me just sit down and look at that tank, look at that miniature and be like, is that a missile pack? Is that a PPC? Is that a railgun? Like, what does this pod do? Like, what do we have on there? So from that perspective, it was a chance to play the narrative and have that discovery. And it was actually a pretty good tank. So are there clan tanks that we should be considering? Possibly, maybe, probably adding to our list as a clan player. And as an Inner Sphere player, would you counter these with tanks? Pile on more tanks? Or would you spend resources fighting mechs, your Inner Sphere mechs versus the tanks? Then you're not going against the clan mechs and they're tearing you open. So there is kind of an interesting duality or interesting foil to it. I'm going to go check out the gaming case right now and refresh myself on the tanks that I do have for the clans. And I think we'll just circle back to kind of look at some clan support vehicles and clan vehicles. And of course, then we'll jump into battle armor. And then we'll circle back around to some heavier clan mechs that I really, really enjoy playing.